30 years ago, thousands of men gathered for the very first No Regrets Conference. It was an amazing day. I know, because I was there. Men unloaded the burden of past regrets by coming to Jesus for forgiveness, the one who forgives and forgets all of our past mistakes. Men went home to give kids a dad who cared and loved them. Wives had a whole new guy to live with. And communities, they had men who were introducing the ways of Jesus to friends and colleagues. And now, as we launch the next 30 years, here are a few stories about the impact of No Regrets.
2013, I went in for a routine colonoscopy and was diagnosed with cancer, and everything changed. So I started scouring the internet for cures, looking at all these different things. One day just ran into Elmbrook and asked two random people, pray for me, help me. And they did. And I believe that discernment was granted at that point, and I had a dream, and Christ came to me in a dream, and he said, I'm gonna relieve your stress so you can be healed. In a routine scan a few months later, a doctor told me that my cancer was gone. So the relationship with Jesus changed because the control I realized was no longer my own, and that he was in control, and that was the way he taught me. So in my time at Elmbrook, I started hearing about the No Regrets Conference. It was a conference for men, and I thought, I'll try this out. So went to the conference and found out that that was more or less a catalyst for the next step, which was small groups. And so I joined a group, the No Regrets group. You've told us many times. The realization I came to with No Regrets is that no man can do it himself. Every man has the same obstacles in life at different times in his life, and Christ called us to be a community because they have answers for us. Other men have answers for us, and we have answers for them. And to this day, I'm still with a number of those guys that I went through No Regrets with, which is awesome, because we have really learned and developed a trust for each other. And that's why No Regrets is still a big part of my life. I still meet with the same guys. Here we are 5-6 years later, so.
It was actually a business competitor of mine back in around 2014 or so who knew that I honored God in my own company, invited me to the No Regrets Men's Conference for the first time because he thought I could benefit from some real Bible-based preaching. And so I came by myself, but I walked out of No Regrets that first Saturday in 2014 flying high. And I knew that it couldn't just be about me anymore. I had to invite my 4 brothers and 2 brother-in-laws and a son and a future son-in-law at that time and nephews, and I told them to mark their calendar for the next year, and then they showed up and they loved it, to the point where at one point hunting was the biggest tradition of the Noyan family, and now I could honestly say that if they had to choose between hunting and the No Regrets Men's Conference, they would choose the conference. But that wasn't enough for me, so my wife and I started a hunting ministry in northern Wisconsin, lower upper Michigan, and as I got to know the guys in the church we were attending there, I thought to myself, these guys got to be attending this conference as well. So we put together a bus, and now for more than 5 years, I think it is, we've had a busload of more than 30 guys getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be here, and they love it and do it year after year. So when I look back, if it hadn't been for this business friend of mine, Rob, inviting me in 2014, we wouldn't have the 50 or so guys coming from a bunch of points around Wisconsin to the conference today. And I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want 100 next year. And I would encourage the guys at the conference this year to think about who they're going to bring along next year and really change some men's lives.
Well, I think coming to the conference from early on, 25 to 30 years ago, what I've just taken away is we need these type of experiences, men do, a conference like this, of this size and impact in our lives. So it's been a huge motivator for me, and it's spurred me on in my life in a number of areas. And one of them is in building this ministry called Life Camp USA. So as we're pulled to make a difference and find what our purpose is, Life Camp USA and helping these middle school boys was something that we're seeking out families who have lost, these boys who have lost their dads either through military service or U.S. law enforcement service. So that's why we wanted to build this man camp for boys and teach them what the Bible says a real man looks like. So, the change we see is unbelievable. We know God can do it, but we see it happen right in front of our eyes in 1 week. They go from really not being involved in church at all, knowing the Lord, So over half the kids have made decisions to follow the Lord, give their life to Jesus, or get baptized. And I think for all of us to say we've got the green light to share the gospel with young men, it's powerful. It's just life-changing for these boys. It's life-changing for all the mentors. So by serving with brothers, it's something that can change your life by serving in different ways. If you get out of your comfort zone and take a chance for the Lord, see what he motivates you to do.
I've been going to the No Regrets Conference for about the last 15 years. I've really learned my role as a man through that conference, the importance of guys getting involved in their community. I also have a passion for mission. I've been going to the Dominican Republic for the last 15 years. And I've decided I want to take No Regrets Conference down there. So we've been pursuing men in the DR through a conference similar to this. And this last November we had about 500 guys attend the conference, and it was just an exciting time. I'm doing this mission work in the Dominican Republic because I care about the community down there. I see God at work there, and I see an absence of men in the church. So having a conference like No Regrets really can draw men to the church. And that's important here in this community and around the world. I think it's important for men to go wherever they're placed by God. You know, for me, God has placed me in the Dominican Republic, and there's a world of need everywhere for men to be drawn to Christ. So there's no boundaries to God's kingdom. So wherever He places us, you know, we need to be pursuing His kingdom.
The massive impact of No Regrets conferences has just begun, and it begins with you. As you take all you have learned today into your world, let's face it, you won't change the whole world, but you can change your world with a forgiven life committed to the purity and power of Jesus, which will bless your kids, your spouse, and all who cross your path. So let's make today the day that you live to pursue Jesus and His no regrets, life-transforming ways.